I died at 24 in a car accident. My parents' last words to me still ringing in my ears from a phone call 2 hours before. Why can't you be more like Lily? I woke up at 17, the morning of March 15th, exactly 1 week before my parents would sit me down at the kitchen table and tell me they were giving my state university scholarship to my stepsister instead. The first thing I did was laugh. The second thing I did was open my laptop and check my email. There it was, just like I remembered, the acceptance letter from Emerson Academy, the most prestigious private college prep program in the country, offering me a full scholarship for their intensive senior year program with guaranteed admission to Stanford. In my first life, I'd been too afraid to accept it. The program was in California, 3,000 miles from home. My parents had guilt-tripped me into declining, saying Lily needed me, that family stayed together, that I was being selfish. I'd declined. I'd stayed. I'd watched Lily get everything while I got their disappointment. Not this time. I saved the email to a hidden folder and went downstairs for breakfast. My mother was making pancakes, Lily's favorite, not mine, while my stepfather read the newspaper. Lily sat at the table, scrolling through her phone, her blonde hair perfect even at 7 in the morning. My dark hair was still tangled from sleep. Mom never cared. "Morning," I said. Mom barely glanced up. "There's cereal in the pantry." Of course, the pancakes were for Lily. I poured myself cereal and sat down, studying them all with new eyes. In my first life, I'd loved them desperately, pathetically. I'd twisted myself into knots trying to earn their approval. My mother had married Robert when I was 12 and Lily was 10. From day one, I was the outsider in my own home. But I'd tried. God, how I'd tried. I'd tutored Lily through every class. I'd given up my bedroom when she said she liked it better. I'd worked part-time jobs to buy her birthday presents while they bought me nothing. And when I'd earned a full ride to State University through academic achievement, the pride of our school, the guidance counselor had called me, I'd thought finally, they'd be proud. Instead, they took it away. "Lily needs it more," my mother had said, sitting across from me at this very table. "Your grades are so good, you'll get scholarships anywhere. Lily needs the boost. You understand, don't you?" Oh, sweetie, I'd understood that I meant nothing to them. The scholarship had been merit-based, non-transferable, but my parents didn't care about details like that. They'd convinced me to decline it, promising they'd pay for Lily's college instead, and I could take out loans. "It's only fair," Robert had said. "You're so much smarter than Lily. She needs more help." I'd said yes, because I was stupid and desperate and still believed that if I sacrificed enough, they'd love me. They never did. Lily flunked out her first semester. My parents blamed me for not helping her enough, even though I was 2 states away. I took out massive loans, worked 3 jobs, and barely graduated. Lily moved back home and did nothing. They supported her completely while I drowned in debt. When I got engaged to Daniel, a good man who loved me, and my mother's only comment was, "Well, at least someone wants you." When I landed my first real job, Robert said, "Lily could have done that if she'd had your advantages." When I died, they were on their way to Lily's apartment to help her move into a new place they'd paid for. They didn't even come to my funeral. I know because I watched from wherever the dead go. Lily had a spa day instead. "She would have understood," Lily told her friends. She always understood. Now, watching Lily stuff pancakes into her mouth while scrolling through Instagram, I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Let her have the scholarship. I had something so much better. Underscore 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 underscore. The week passed slowly. I played my role perfectly. The dutiful daughter, the helpful sister. I tutored Lily in calculus even though she didn't listen. I smiled when Mom forgot my doctor's appointment, but remembered Lily's hair appointment. I nodded when Robert lectured me about being more social like Lily. I also quietly accepted Emerson Academy's offer. The admissions director, Dr. Patricia Chen, called me personally. "We're thrilled to have you, Claire. Your research proposal on sustainable urban development was extraordinary. We have several professors at Stanford already interested in mentoring you." "Thank you," I said, my voice steady. "I'm honored." The program starts June 1st. Housing is included and will provide a stipend for personal expenses. You'll be taking college-level courses alongside our other scholars. By the time you enter Stanford next fall, you'll already have a year of credits completed. Stanford. In my first life, I'd never dreamed of Stanford. I'd convinced myself State University was good enough, that I should be grateful for anything. What a fool I'd been. I'll be there, I told Dr. Chen. I didn't tell my parents. Not yet. That revelation would come at the perfect moment. Underscore 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 March 22nd arrived. I came home from school to find my parents and Lily sitting in the living room waiting. Mom's face was serious. Robert looked uncomfortable. Lily was trying not to smile. Here we go. Claire, honey, sit down, Mom said. We need to talk. I sat, arranging my expression into innocent curiosity. Inside, I was counting down. 3, 2, 1. You know how proud we are of both you girls, Mom started. Lie number 1, and we want both of you to succeed. Lie number 2. Your scholarship to State University is wonderful. Well, but Mom glanced at Robert. He cleared his throat. Lily's been struggling. Her grades aren't where they need to be for college. We think she needs the structure and support that State University provides. I blinked. I'm sorry, I don't understand. The scholarship, Mom said gently as if explaining to a child. We'd like you to decline it so Lily can attend instead. But it's merit-based, I said slowly. They don't transfer. We know, sweetie. Mom reached over and patted my hand. I resisted the urge to yank it away, but if you decline, Lily can apply for the same scholarship next cycle. The guidance counselor said they'll likely give it to her since she's from the same family. It shows legacy or something. That wasn't how any of this worked, but Lily was nodding eagerly. We'll help you find other options, Robert added. Whoa, you're so smart, Claire. You'll get scholarships anywhere. Lily needs this specific opportunity. I let the silence stretch, watched them squirm. Claire, Mom prompted, I thought about my first life. How I'd cried in my room that night, how I'd called my best friend Jenny, sobbing, and she'd told me to fight back. But I hadn't. I'd been too afraid of losing even the scraps of love they threw me. This time, I smiled. Of course, I said. If Lily needs it, she should have it. The relief on their faces was almost comical. Oh, sweetheart, thank you. Mom pulled me into a hug. She smelled like her expensive perfume, the one Robert bought her for Christmas while I got a drugstore candle. You're such a good sister. This is why you're our Claire, Robert said warmly. Always thinking of family first. Lily actually squealed and hugged me. Thank you. Thank you. I promise I'll make you proud. I hugged her back, thinking about how she'd flunk out in 4 months, how my parents would somehow still blame me, how they'd never even notice I was gone. I know you will, I lied. Underscore 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 underscore. I declined the State University scholarship the next day. The guidance counselor, Mrs. Patterson, looked devastated. Claire, are you sure? This is a full ride. Room, board, tuition, books, everything. I'm sure, I said. Family circumstances have changed. She studied me with sharp eyes. Mrs. Patterson had always liked me. Is everything all right at home? Everything's fine, I said, smiling. Actually, I have some good news. I've been accepted to a program in California. I'll be leaving in June. Her eyes widened. The Emerson Academy program? Claire. That's incredible. Why didn't you tell me you applied? I wanted to be sure first. She pulled me into a hug, something she'd never done before. I'm so proud of you. Your parents must be over the moon. I haven't told them yet, I admitted. I wanted to sort out the details first. Understanding crossed her face. She'd been a guidance counselor for 20 years. She knew exactly what kind of family I had. Well, you let me know if you need anything. Recommendation letters, transcripts, anything at all. She paused. And Claire, get out of here. Go build something amazing. I intended to. Underscore 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 April passed in a blur. Lily was already telling everyone she was going to State University, even though she hadn't technically been awarded the scholarship yet. I didn't correct her. My parents were busy helping her prepare, buying dorm supplies, researching meal plans, signing up for orientation. No one asked what I was doing. Perfect. I worked my part-time job at the library and saved every penny. Emerson provided housing and a stipend, but I wanted a cushion. I also started boxing up my important belongings. My journals, my favorite books, my laptop, the few photos I had of my biological father who died when I was 8. Mom never noticed the boxes accumulating in my closet. Jenny noticed I was different, though. You seem lighter, she said one day at lunch. We were sitting in our usual spot in the courtyard, watching Lily hold court with her popular friends across the way. Do I? I took a bite of my sandwich. Yeah, like you're not carrying the world anymore. She studied me. Well, what's going on? I debated telling her. In my first life, Jenny had been my best friend until she wasn't. She drifted away during college, choosing Lily's parties and drama over my increasingly desperate phone calls. I'd forgiven her then, understanding that Lily was more fun, more exciting. Now I understood that real friends didn't abandon you when life got hard. But Jenny didn't know that yet. Right now, she was still my friend. I got into Emerson Academy, I said quietly. She nearly dropped her drink. The Emerson Academy? Claire, that's insane. That's better than Harvard. Shh. I glanced around, but no one was paying attention to us. They never did. Sorry, but holy shit. Jenny grabbed my hands. When do you leave? Are you going? Please tell me you're going. June 1st. And yes, I'm going. Do your parents know? Not yet. She understood immediately. They gave your scholarship to Lily. I gave it to Lily, I corrected. They asked, and I said yes. Claire? Because I already had something better. I smiled. I'm not stupid, Jen. Not anymore. She looked at me with something like awe. When did you get so smart? In my next life, I thought. Out loud, I said, I've always been smart. I just forgot for a while. Underscore 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 May 15th was Lily's birthday. Mom went all out, catered lunch, a designer handbag, a new laptop for college. My birthday had been in February. I'd gotten a card. At dinner, surrounded by Lily's friends and our extended family, Robert stood to make a toast. To Lily, he said, raising his glass, who's headed to State University in the fall. Well, we're so proud of you for earning that scholarship. Lily beamed. She hadn't earned anything, but no one cared about details. And to Claire, Mom added, almost as an afterthought, for being such a supportive sister. Everyone clinked glasses. I smiled and sipped my water. Aunt Marie, my mother's sister, cornered me in the kitchen later. I heard you gave up your scholarship for Lily. Family first, I said, the words tasting like ash. She studied me with shrewd eyes. Aunt Marie had never liked Robert, had warned my mother against marrying him. That's very generous of you. What are your plans? I'm working on something, I said vaguely. Good. She squeezed my shoulder. Don't let them make you small, Claire. You're worth more than they see. I almost cried. In my first life, I'd barely known Aunt Marie. She drifted away from the family after one too many arguments with my mother about how she treated me. I'd always thought Aunt Marie was the difficult one. Now, I knew better. Thank you, I whispered. She just nodded and went back to the party. underscore 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 underscore. June 1st arrived on a beautiful Saturday morning. My parents were taking Lily to Tor State University, a 3-hour drive. They'd invited me along to see where Lily would be going, but I declined, claiming I had a shift at the library. Instead, I called an Uber. I'd shipped most of my boxes to Emerson's storage facility the week before. Now, I had just 2 suitcases and a backpack. Everything that mattered fit into those 3 bags. The rest, the furniture, the childhood toys, the room that had been mine but never really felt like mine, I left behind. I'd written a letter, though. I placed it on the kitchen table where they'd find it when they got home. Mom, Robert, and Lily, by the time you read this, I'll be in California. I've been accepted to Emerson Academy's prestigious college prep program with a full scholarship, including housing, meals, and a stipend. I'll be starting at Stanford next fall. I want to thank you for teaching me an important lesson. I am not responsible for other people's feelings at the expense of my own future. You asked me to sacrifice my scholarship, and I did, because I'd already secured something better. I won't be coming back. Don't call, don't text, don't email. I need space to focus on my education and my future. I hope Lily enjoys State University. Claire, simple, direct. No emotions, no accusations, just facts. The Uber pulled up. I took one last look at the house, the place where I'd tried so hard to belong, and walked out. I didn't look back. Underscore 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 Emerson Academy was everything they'd promised and more. The campus was small, only 50 students in the senior year program, all of us handpicked for exceptional academic achievement and potential. We lived in a renovated Victorian mansion with private rooms, shared common spaces, and actual gourmet meals prepared by a real chef. My roommate was Priya Sharma, a brilliant coder from Texas who developed an app that helped rural students access advanced coursework. My neighbor was Marcus Chen, a physics prodigy who'd been published in scientific journals at 16. Down the hall was Zara Okafor, who'd started a nonprofit that built schools in Nigeria. These were my people. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the smartest person in the room, and it was liberating. Dr. Chen personally welcomed me on my first day. We have a robust support system here, Claire. Academic advisors, mental health counselors, career mentors. If you need anything at all, you ask. Our job is to help you succeed. I almost didn't believe her. I kept waiting for the catch, for the moment when they'd say, actually, we need you to give this to someone else. It never came. The work was brutal. We were taking actual Stanford courses, competing with college students who had years more experience. I studied until my eyes burned. I attended seminars with professors who'd won Nobel Prizes. I wrote papers that were torn apart and rebuilt stronger. And I loved every minute of it. My phone rang constantly the first week. My mother, Sir Robert, Lily, all calling nonstop. I blocked their numbers. They sent emails. I filtered them to spam. They even got Aunt Marie to call. That one I answered. "Are you okay?" she asked immediately. "I'm better than okay," I said. "I'm where I'm supposed to be." "Your mother is losing her mind. She says you ran away." "I'm 18. It's not running away. It's leaving." Aunt Marie laughed. "Good for you, kid. I told her this day would come." She didn't listen. She paused. "For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Send me your address. I'll send care packages." She was the only one who got my address. underscore 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 July brought the first cracks in my family's facade. Lily didn't get the scholarship. Of course she didn't. The merit-based scholarship went to the next highest achieving student in the district, a junior named David Park, who had a 4.8 GPA and near-perfect test scores. I knew because Mrs. Patterson emailed me. Thought you'd want to know that karma is real. How's Emerson? I wrote back. Emerson is perfect. Thank you for everything. My mother tried calling from a new number. I answered by accident, not recognizing it. Claire? Claire, is that you? I should have hung up. Instead, I said, Hi, Mom. Where are you? What is this nonsense about California? You need to come home right now. I'm at school. I told you in my letter. That letter was ridiculous. You can't just leave. What about Lily? What about her? She needs you. She didn't get the scholarship, and she's devastated, and you're not here. I watched seagulls circle outside my window. I was sitting in my room with its hardwood floors and its view of the bay and its desk where I'd written a paper last night that Professor Martinez had called graduate-level work. That's not my problem, I said calmly. Excuse me? Lily's feelings are not my responsibility. You chose to give her my scholarship. I chose to find my own path. Those are the consequences of our respective choices. Don't you dare speak to me like that. I'm your mother. Then act like it. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt powerful. In my first life, that conversation would have ended with me sobbing and apologizing and probably getting on a bus home. This time, I blocked the new number and went to dinner. Underscore 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 August was transformation. I started working with Professor Elizabeth Hartley, a Stanford urban planning expert who'd pioneered sustainable development models in major cities. She'd read my application essay and asked me to join her research team. You have a unique perspective, she told me during our first meeting. Most students come from privilege and theorize about helping poor communities. You've lived it. You understand the reality. She didn't know the half of it. In my first life, I'd drowned in student debt, lived in terrible apartments, worked jobs that destroyed my health. I knew exactly how the system failed people. Now I was going to fix it. I spent my mornings in accelerated coursework, advanced economics, urban sociology, environmental science. My afternoons were in Professor Hartley's lab, analyzing data and building models. My evenings were spent with Priya, Marcus, Zara, and the others, having the kinds of intellectual conversations I'd always craved. For the first time in either of my lives, I was happy. Aunt Marie sent care packages filled with my favorite snacks and books. She also included updates on the family drama, which was apparently spectacular. Your mother is telling everyone you had a breakdown and joined a cult. Robert is embarrassed his daughter abandoned the family. Lily failed her summer prep courses for state and is now on academic probation before she even starts. They're blaming you, of course. Just thought you should know. Keep being awesome. Aunt M, I laughed until I cried. Underscore 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 September brought college applications, even though I already had guaranteed admission to Stanford. Dr. Chen encouraged us to apply widely anyway. Keep your options open, she said. You might get offers you didn't expect. I applied to Stanford, obviously, but also MIT, Yale, Princeton, and Columbia. Why not? The application fees were waived for Emerson scholars, and I had nothing to lose. I also started a blog about sustainable urban development, posting my research and ideas. Within weeks, I had thousands of followers, urban planners, architects, policymakers, students. Professor Hartley shared one of my posts, and it went viral. A reporter from the New York Times reached out for an interview. "You're 17 and you're already influencing policy discussions," she said during our Zoom call. "What drives you?" I thought about my first life. The crumbling apartment buildings, the food deserts, the lack of transportation, the way poverty became a trap because the system was designed to keep people down. "I want to build cities that work for everyone," I said. "Not just the wealthy, everyone." The article came out in October. My mother saw it. She called from yet another new number. This time I was ready. "Claire, I saw the article." "How did you get this number?" "That doesn't matter. Sweetie, I had no idea you were doing such important work. We're so proud of you." I actually laughed. "Really? You're proud?" "Of course. You're our daughter." "Where was that pride in March? Or April? Or any time in the last 18 years? Silence. "You gave away my scholarship because you thought Lily needed it more. You didn't ask about my plans. You didn't care where I'd go or what I'd do. You just assumed I'd figure it out because I always do." Claire, "That's not fair. You didn't come to my science fair in 8th grade because Lily had a soccer game. You forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. You gave her my room, my time, my opportunities. And now you see me in the New York Times and suddenly you're proud? We always loved you. You loved the version of me that sacrificed everything for Lily. You loved doormat Claire, the one who never complained. But you don't know me. You never did. Claire, please, don't call again. I mean it. Lose this number." I blocked her. Then I went to my dorm's common room where Priya was hosting a movie night, and I let my real family, the one I'd chosen, make me laugh until I forgot all about her. Underscore, 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 November brought early acceptance letters. Stanford, accepted. Full ride plus research fellowship. MIT, accepted. And full scholarship plus stipend. Yale, accepted. Full scholarship plus housing grant. Princeton, accepted with personal letter from the dean. Columbia, accepted with invitation to special urban studies program. I had my pick of the best schools in the country, all of them paying me to attend. I chose Stanford. Professor Hartley was there. My research was there. My future was there. Dr. Chen opened champagne in her office when I told her. "I knew you'd do it. I knew from the moment I read your application." "Thank you," I said, and meant it, for taking a chance on me. "Oh, Claire," she smiled. "It was never a chance. It was a certainty. Underscore, 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 December was going home for winter break. Except I didn't go home. Home was a word that didn't mean what it used to. Instead, Aunt Marie flew to California. We spent a week exploring San Francisco, eating at amazing restaurants, and talking about everything. "Your mother asks about you," she said over dinner one night. "I don't care." "I know." She sipped her wine. For what it's worth, she's starting to realize what she lost. Lily flunked out of state. She's back home not working, not going to school. Robert's disappointed. Your mother is stressed. Good. Claire, no. I put down my fork. I spent 17 years trying to earn love I was never going to get. I'm done. I have a real family now. You, my friends at Emerson, my professors, people who see me and value me and don't ask me to shrink myself to make someone else comfortable. Aunt Marie reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're right. I'm sorry. I see my sister throwing away the best thing that ever happened to her, and it makes me sad. I was never the best thing that happened to her. I was an obligation she resented. You're wrong about that, but I understand why you think it." She smiled sadly. "For what it's worth, you're one of the best things that ever happened to me. Watching you fly has been a privilege." I cried then. Happy tears. Grateful tears. We didn't talk about my mother again. underscore 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 January meant returning to Emerson for the spring semester, my last few months before Stanford. I threw myself into my work. Professor Hartley and I were co-authoring a paper on sustainable housing models for low-income urban areas. It would be published in a major urban planning journal. At 17, I'd be a published researcher. The day the acceptance letter came from the journal, I celebrated with my friends. We went to the beach, built a bonfire, and talked about our dreams. "Stanford," Priya said, toasting me with a soda. "You're going to change the world." "MIT," Marcus said, grinning. "Going to study quantum physics and probably break the universe." "Princeton," Zara said. "Pre-law, going to fight for human rights." We went around the circle, each of us sharing our next steps, our hopes, our plans. None of us were going to State University. None of us were going to live small lives to make other people comfortable. We were going to be extraordinary. Underscore 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 February brought my 18th birthday. Aunt Marie sent a package filled with my favorite books and a card that said, "To the niece who reminds me that we choose our family. Love you forever." Dr. Chen and the Emerson staff threw me a surprise party. My friends got me a custom notebook embossed with Dr. Claire Bennett, Future City Builder. Professor Hartley sent an email. "Happy birthday to my favorite research partner. Can't wait to continue our work at Stanford. My mother sent nothing. Robert sent nothing. Lily sent nothing. I didn't care. Jenny sent a text. 'Happy birthday. I miss you. Lily's a mess. Your parents are freaking out. You were right to leave?' I wrote back, 'Thank you. I hope you're doing well.' She replied, 'Getting there. You inspired me. I'm applying to college next year. Going to study journalism.' 'You'll be amazing,' I sent. 'Some people were worth keeping.' Underscore 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 March 15th was exactly 1 year since my parents had asked me to give up my scholarship. I woke up in my room at Emerson, sunlight streaming through the windows. I had coffee with Priya, attended a fascinating lecture on urban economics, worked on my paper with Professor Hartley, and had dinner with friends who actually cared about me. I thought about my first life, about dying at 24, alone and in debt, having achieved nothing because I'd given everything away. I thought about this life, about Stanford and research and possibilities. The difference was simple. I'd chosen myself. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. "Claire?" My mother's voice. Older. Tired. "How did you get this number?" I've been trying to reach you. I need to talk to you." "We have nothing to discuss? Please, just listen." She took a shaky breath. "Lily dropped out of community college. She's been stealing money from us to fund a lifestyle she can't afford. Robert and I are in counseling. Everything is falling apart." I waited. I realized I destroyed our relationship for a daughter who doesn't care about anything but herself. And I pushed away a daughter who was extraordinary. I almost laughed. "You didn't push me away. I left. There's a difference. Claire, please, I'm so sorry for everything, for choosing her over you, for not seeing how special you were, for wasting your time and your love." "You're not sorry you did it," I said quietly. "You're sorry it didn't work out the way you planned?" "That's not true. If Lily had succeeded at State, if she'd graduated and gotten a good job, you'd never have called. You'd still think you made the right choice. You're only sorry because you lost both daughters instead of just one." Silence. "You're probably right," she finally whispered. "But I am sorry. And I do love you. I know you don't believe that, but I do. Maybe you do, but love without action is just words." I looked out my window at the California sunshine. I needed a mother who fought for me, who saw me, who chose me at least once. You weren't that person. I could be now. Too late. Claire, I have a mother now. Aunt Marie, and a family, my friends, my professors, people who see my value without me having to prove it every second. I don't need you anymore. I don't want you in my life. Please don't do this. You did this. You chose this. Now live with it. I hung up, and then I blocked the number and went to dinner. Underscore, 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 April brought the end of my time at Emerson. We had a graduation ceremony for the senior scholars. All 50 of us dressed up, listened to speeches about our potential, and received our completion certificates. Dr. Chen gave the keynote speech. "You came here as exceptional students," she said. "You're leaving as researchers, leaders, and changemakers. The world needs you. Don't let anyone make you small." She looked right at me when she said it. After the ceremony, parents flooded the campus. Priya's parents flew in from Texas. Marcus's parents drove from Sacramento. Zara's mother came from Nigeria. Aunt Marie was there for me, dressed up and beaming with pride. "I'm so proud of you," she said, hugging me tight. "Thank you for being here, for being everything. Honey, you're the one who did everything. I just showed up. That's more than most people did." She pulled back and looked at me seriously. "Your mother called me. She wants to come to your Stanford graduation. Tell her no." I did. "I just wanted you to know." She smiled. "You know what I told her?" "What?" "That she had a brilliant, kind, extraordinary daughter, and she traded her for fool's gold. And now she has to live with that." I hugged her again. Underscore, 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 underscore. May was packing and preparing. I'd be spending the summer doing preliminary research at Stanford before the fall semester started. Professor Hartley had arranged for me to work with her team, getting a head start on my studies. My friends and I had one last bonfire on the beach. "To the best year ever," Marcus said, raising his drink. "To the family we chose," Priya added. "To the future," Zara said. "To us," I finished. "And to never settling for less than we deserve." We clinked glasses and watched the sunset over the Pacific. I thought about my first life, about dying with regrets, and wondering, what if? This life was all what ifs coming true. Underscore, 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 underscore. June 1st, exactly 1 year after I'd left home, I moved into my dorm at Stanford. My room was small, but mine. My roommate was a brilliant environmental science major from Oregon. My schedule was packed with courses I'd chosen, research I wanted to do, a future I'd built brick by brick. Professor Hartley stopped by to welcome me. Ready to change the world? Absolutely. That night, I stood on the balcony of my dorm and looked out at the campus. Somewhere out there, my mother was probably crying about her choices. Lily was probably still living at home, doing nothing. Robert was probably wondering where he went wrong. I didn't care. I'd spent one life caring about people who didn't care about me. This life was mine. underscore 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 sophomore year brought my first major publication. The paper I'd co-authored with Professor Hartley was cited in a congressional hearing on urban housing policy. A congresswoman quoted my research in a speech. I was 19 years old. Junior year, I started my own nonprofit focused on sustainable housing development in underserved communities. We built our first project in my hometown, a mixed-income housing complex with green spaces and community resources. The irony wasn't lost on me. My mother saw the news coverage. She tried to call. I didn't answer. Senior year, I was recruited by 3 major urban planning firms before I even graduated. I had job offers starting at 6 figures. I also got accepted to Stanford's doctoral program with full funding. I chose the PhD. Money could wait. Knowledge was power. Underscore 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 underscore. The day I graduated from Stanford, Aunt Marie was in the front row cheering louder than anyone. So were Priya, Marcus, and Zara, all of whom had finished their own undergraduate degrees and were starting their own amazing careers. Professor Hartley hooded me personally. "Dr. Bennett," she said, smiling. "It has a nice ring to it." "Not yet," I laughed. "4 more years. You'll get there. You always do." After the ceremony, we took photos. Aunt Marie cried. My friends made jokes. Professor Hartley gave me a gift. A framed copy of our first published paper together. "For your office," she said, "when you're running the world." "Just a small piece of it," I said. That's how it starts. That night, at the celebratory dinner, Aunt Marie pulled me aside. "Your mother wanted to come today." "I know. I told her not to." "Thank you. She's never going to stop regretting this, you know." "Good," I said simply. She made her choice. I made mine. We both have to live with the consequences. Aunt Marie studied me. "You're not angry anymore." She was right. Somewhere between Emerson and Stanford, between research and publications, between building my life and my career, I'd let go of the anger. Not the boundary, never the boundary. But the anger that had fueled me in those early days, that was gone. "I'm not angry," I agreed. "I'm just done." "That's good. Anger is exhausting." "Yeah," I smiled at her. "I'd rather spend my energy building things than tearing things down." That's my girl. Underscore 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 underscore. 5 years later, I successfully defended my dissertation, Sustainable Urban Development Models for Economic Integration. I was 27 years old with a PhD from Stanford and job offers from firms around the world. I chose to stay in academia, taking a position as an assistant professor at Columbia. I wanted to teach, to mentor students like me who came from nothing and could be everything. My first year teaching, a student came to my office hours. She was brilliant but struggling, working 3 jobs to stay in school. I was supporting her family back home. I saw myself in her. "Tell me what you need," I said. By the end of the semester, I'd connected her with scholarships, research opportunities, and a support network. She flourished. That became my mission, finding the students everyone else overlooked, the ones working themselves to death, the ones sacrificing everything for families that didn't appreciate them. I showed them There was another way. Underscore 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 underscore. 10 years after leaving home, I received an invitation to speak at State University's commencement. The irony was delicious. I accepted. My speech was about second chances and choosing yourself and building the life you deserve. I talked about coming from nothing and creating everything. I talked about the people who believed in me. Aunt Marie, Dr. Chen, Professor Hartley, my chosen family. I didn't mention my mother or Robert or Lily by name, but everyone from my hometown knew exactly who I was talking about when I said, "Some people will ask you to make yourself smaller so they feel bigger. Don't. Your light doesn't diminish when others succeed, but it absolutely dies when you dim it for people who don't appreciate it." The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Afterward, in the reception, I saw her. My mother, older now, standing at the back of the room. She'd aged hard. Gray hair, tired eyes, the look of someone carrying regrets. I didn't approach her. She didn't approach me. We just looked at each other across the room, two strangers who used to be family. Then I turned to the student who was telling me about her research, and I gave her my full attention. When I looked back, my mother was gone. Underscore 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 15 years after my rebirth, I published my first book, Building Up, Sustainable Development for Everyone. It became required reading in urban planning programs across the country. I was invited to consult with cities, advise mayors, shape policy. The work I dreamed about in my dorm room at Emerson was real. I'd change the world. Maybe just a small piece of it, but that piece mattered. I also got married to Daniel, the same wonderful man from my first life. We met at a conference, fell in love slowly, built something real together. This time, when my mother wasn't invited to the wedding, it wasn't because she was too busy. It was because she wasn't part of my life. Aunt Marie walked me down the aisle. Professor Hartley gave a reading. Priya, Marcus, and Zara stood up with me. It was perfect. Underscore 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 20 years after leaving home, Aunt Marie called with news. Your mother had a stroke. She's in the hospital. I was in my office at Columbia, reviewing grant proposals. Outside my window, New York City hummed with life. Is she going to be okay? Probably. But Claire, she's asking for you. I closed my eyes. 20 years? 2 decades of building a life without her? I'm not going. I know. I told her you probably wouldn't, but I had to ask. How's Lily? Aunt Marie snorted. Still living at home, still doing nothing. She's 42 years old and never worked a real day in her life. And Robert? Bitter? Angry. Blames everyone but himself. They got what they chose. They did. Aunt Marie paused. Your mother said she's proud of you, that she reads everything you publish. Oh, that she tells people you're her daughter. I'm not? Legally. Not in any way that matters. Silence. Okay, Aunt Marie finally said. I'll let her know you're not coming. Thank you for everything, for being the parent she never was. Oh, honey, you were easy to love. She just never learned how. After we hung up, I sat in my office and thought about my first life. About dying alone, about never accomplishing anything, about sacrificing everything for people who gave nothing back. Then I thought about this life, about Daniel, about my students, about my research, about the difference I'd made. I didn't feel guilty for not going to the hospital. I felt free. Underscore 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 underscore. My mother died 3 months later. I didn't go to the funeral. I sent flowers. Expensive ones, with a card that said, "With sympathy." Aunt Marie called afterward. "You should have seen Lily's face when she saw your flowers. She asked if you were coming. I told her no." "How did she react?" "She cried, said you were heartless." I laughed, actually laughed. I'm heartless? I'm not the one who took everything and gave nothing. I told her the same thing. She didn't like it. I don't care. I know. That's what makes you free. She was right. Underscore 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 underscore. 25 years after my rebirth, I was invited to testify before Congress about sustainable urban development. My research had influenced policy in 15 states. My nonprofit had built housing for over 10,000 families. I sat in that hearing room, answering questions from senators and representatives, and thought about the girl I'd been. 17, heartbroken, desperate for love from people who'd never give it. She'd died in that car crash. I'd been reborn, not just in the supernatural sense, but in the real one. I'd chosen to become someone new, someone who didn't need validation from people who didn't value her, someone who built her own family, her own success, her own worth. After the hearing, a young woman approached me, college-aged, nervous. "Dr. Bennett, I just wanted to say thank you. I read your book and it changed my life. My family wanted me to stay small, but your work showed me I could be more. I saw myself in her eyes. You can be anything you want," I told her. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not your family, not your friends, not society. You get to choose." She hugged me, crying. That night, Daniel asked me if I ever regretted leaving. We were in our apartment, overlooking Central Park, drinking wine and watching the sunset. "Never," I said. "Not once. Not even a little?" Maybe in my first life I would have. I'd have wondered what if I'd been a better daughter, a better sister, if I'd tried harder, sacrificed more, loved better. And now? Now I know the truth. It wasn't about what I did or didn't do. They were never going to love me the way I needed. So I found people who would. He kissed my temple. "I'm glad you did." "Me too." Underscore 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 underscore. 30 years after leaving home, I received a letter. It was from Lily. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won. "Dear Claire, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you probably hate me. I don't blame you, and I'm writing because I'm trying to get my life together. Finally. I'm in therapy. I'm working on taking responsibility for my choices, and I realized I owe you an apology. I was a terrible sister. I took everything you offered and never gave anything back. I watched Mom and Dad treat you like garbage and said nothing. I let them give me your scholarship even though I knew it was wrong. I was selfish and lazy and cruel. You deserved better. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to contact me. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. I see what they did. I see what we all took from you. And I'm sorry for whatever that's worth. I hope you're happy. I read about your work. You're incredible. You were always incredible. I just never told you? Lily, I read it twice. Then I filed it away in a drawer and never responded. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges once burned should stay ashes. underscore 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 underscore. 40 years after my rebirth, I retired from teaching. I'd mentored hundreds of students. I'd published dozens of papers. I'd changed policy in cities across America. I'd built a legacy. At my retirement party, surrounded by former students who'd become leaders in their fields, I gave one last speech. I came from nothing, I said. I was told I was worth nothing. I was asked to sacrifice everything for people who gave me nothing in return. I looked out at the crowd, successful architects, urban planners, policymakers, all people I'd taught and mentored. But I learned the most important lesson. You teach people how to treat you. When you accept crumbs, they'll give you crumbs. When you demand respect, you might lose people, but you'll gain yourself. I lost my family, but I built a better one. I lost my home, but I found a better one. I lost my first life, but I built a second one worth living. That's what I want you to remember. You don't owe anyone your light. Shine anyway. Shine especially for the people who tried to dim you. Because success, real, meaningful success, is the best revenge. The applause was thunderous. Underscore 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 underscore. 50 years after leaving home, I was 85 years old. Daniel and I lived in a beautiful house in California, not far from Stanford. We had grandchildren, brilliant, kind, loved unconditionally. Aunt Marie had passed 10 years earlier, peacefully in her sleep. She'd left me everything. Not much money, but letters. Hundreds of letters she'd written to me over the years, chronicling my journey, telling me how proud she was. I reread them sometimes. One day, sorting through old files, I found my mother's last letter to me, the one she'd sent 3 months before she died. I'd never opened it. I opened it now. Claire, I'm dying. The doctors say I have months, maybe weeks. I don't expect you to care. You haven't spoken to me in 20 years. I don't blame you. I just wanted you to know that you were right. About everything. I was a terrible mother. I chose Lily over you again and again. And I told myself it was because she needed more help. But the truth is, you were hard to love. Not because of who you were, but because of who you reminded me of. Myself. Smart, capable, independent. I resented that. I resented that you didn't need me. So I poured everything into Lily because she did need me, and I destroyed both my daughters in different ways. You escaped. You built something beautiful. I see your name in the news, your work changing lives, and I think that's my daughter. But you're not. Not anymore. I lost the right to claim you. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry I never told you that when it mattered. I'm sorry for all of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that my biggest regret isn't the mistakes I made. It's that I had an extraordinary daughter, and I was too foolish to see it. You deserved better. I hope you found it. Mom, I read it 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it back in the drawer. Some apologies come too late. But I appreciated the honesty. That night, Daniel found me on our porch, watching the sunset. "Are you okay?" he asked, sitting beside me. I found a letter from my mother, from before she died. And she apologized. She admitted she was wrong. How do you feel? I thought about it. Satisfied, I think. She saw the truth. She died knowing what she'd lost. That's enough. You don't want to forgive her? She's dead. What would forgiveness change? He was quiet for a moment. For you, maybe? I smiled. I forgave myself a long time ago. For caring. For trying. For leaving. That's the only forgiveness that mattered. He squeezed my hand. You're remarkable. You know that? I'm just someone who learned to choose herself. That's what makes you remarkable. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun sink below the horizon. I thought about my first life. The pain, the loneliness, the wasted potential. I thought about this life, the joy, the purpose, the legacy. I thought about the girl I'd been at 17, standing in that kitchen, agreeing to give away her scholarship. And I smiled because that girl had become me, and I had become free.